Hey there, YouTube friends. Maskedbandit here again. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Always do appreciate it. And I thought we would do another Townscaper video. I have a couple more ideas that I want to do. I know after this one, there's going to be at least one more Townscaper video on the channel. Big thanks to all of you that have watched the first Townscaper video. For me, it kind of blew up for me. This is the first Townscaper video. If you haven't checked it out, I encourage you to do so. Is one of the best performing videos on the channel in a long time. Granted, I haven't had anything on the channel in a long time, but I must have hit something just right. And so it's really exciting to see that people have taken an interest in this title. It's really cool. A lot of people are really into this game, and I enjoy it. It's a fun way to spend some time. So what we're doing today is we're going to be using this to try and get a Dungeons and Dragons map. At this point in my channel's life, we're kind of in a semi-transition period in that I am going to be bringing more and more tabletop simulation stuff to the channel. It's become a really big passion of mine, specifically 5e Dungeons and Dragons. So we're going to be doing more and more stuff involving tabletop simulators, not abandoning the gaming at all, because it's still a huge part of my life and what I do. But in this instance, I thought, wouldn't it be cool? It's such a cute, charming little game, and it has that aesthetic of like a fantasy town. So let's see if we can't do something. At the end of the day, it's not quite what I was hoping it would be. It's good, I like it, and it would work, but I don't know if I'm actually going to use this as a map. So the first building we drew was supposed to be sort of a tavern. One of the things I want to focus on in here is having a few larger buildings that kind of stick out in a way that makes them more noticeable. When I hand draw my maps, I like to do that. I'll have a couple, a couple points of interest on a map, and then the rest is just generic housing and stuff. So working on a bit of like I guess a high street here, trying to make sure that they're all flush with they're all even with each other, trying to make a row of shops here, kind of like a main street area. And then I thought it would be nice to have a courtyard in the back, so I went ahead and did that. In this episode, I really tried to limit all the flat, paving areas. I didn't want those to show up, so it took a little bit of struggling. And I think I started this wrong. I should have, if I had to do this over again, and maybe I will, I would have started with the city walls to give me the space that I knew I was going to work with and go from there. I didn't do that. I tried to build more organically in this instance, and I don't think that it helped me in the plan that I was trying to do. This white building here is supposed to be a city hall type structure, not quite as big as a church, but again, one of those buildings that has kind of a more unique look than the others. But the thing that this map ended up doing is it ended up having a lot more open space, which I think is interesting. This is when I wish we had some little props that we could have put down. Like, I would have loved to have barrels or like a little market stand or something. If there's more coming to this title, I hope it's little things like that. Again, procedurally generated, I don't know how you would do it, but that would be a super cool thing to add to this little title. So we got a little courtyard there for our town hall. It doesn't stay there though. It doesn't stay. Hooking everything up. At this point, I got a little stuck. Like here, I was like, oh, we can make a market. No, they don't look like a market. They look like houses. I guess what I could do, they'd have to be 2 height. I was trying to think, could I do something? They'd have to be 2 squares high, and then you could delete the bottom section, and it would be on supports. So that might look more like a tent, but I don't know. This little trick here, this little building here, I really like the way that looks, except it doesn't really fit very well. It looks more like a gate than a building, but I keep it in the back of my head because we do eventually add a gate here, and I think that's what we're going to be doing pretty quickly here is working on a gate. And then we put walls in, city walls. One of the things I like to do with this title, and I did it in the first build for the castle, as I gave city walls around the castle, which I thought was really good. Yeah, filled. So there, I like that street. I like that center street, and I think that works really, really well. And especially in a D&D setting, having a big town hall building and then a tavern and a couple other, you don't need a lot. And so this is actually going to be smaller than the previous build. And it's at this point where I'm like, well, I guess we need an entrance to this town, a formal entrance to this town. And it's a weird part of the grid. It's not. It's one of those parts where the grid is turning and giving you options and all that, which makes it a little tricky to build a successful tower or entrance here. But I got that going, which I think is really nice. I really like the way this turned out, and it sort of spun me into making walls. And once we do that, I really go to town. It really helps me figure out the rest of the city. It just makes it feel so much more complete to have, little walls around your town. Because I know in a lot of the cities that we visit in our Dungeons and Dragons campaign, all the cities have walls around them. All the major cities have walls around them. So I felt that was absolutely necessary, especially a game like this, especially with this game, because the aesthetic is such that, like I said earlier, it lends itself so well to this. So a little bit about my campaigns. I'm a player in one campaign, and then I am running another campaign. And the campaign that I'm a player in is based on the Sword Coast, so we're using that adventure guide, but it's all a homebrew story. And then I play a tiefling bard, and it's super fun. We are currently level 6, and we're trying to prevent a demon from the abyss from spawning, basically. We are currently searching for a bunch of relics and things that will aid us in our quest, and it's super duper fun. I think this map would do better in that world than in my world. In my game, where I'm running, it's a totally homebrew world. I've made up my own world. I have it's a steampunk kind of world. It deals with colonization as a topic matter. Like, the humans have colonized this land from the other races that lived there. And magic, it's a low magic campaign. There is not we have a cleric and an artificer, but the way they roleplay it is that they are not actually using magic. They are explaining all of their quote spells with real world things. So it's really fun. It's a really fun way to play. Real quick with the video here, I'm super happy with how this turned out. Every city, I know that it's surrounded by water, but I'm ignoring that. I'm pretending it's not. Every city would need a river running through it, and so this turned out really nicely. It's a little thin, but 2 is just way too much. So yeah, I'm pleased with this river, and it actually helped me fill out the rest of the city. So what I would do if I was using this for a map is I would probably have to import it. I'd take a screenshot of it and import it into some GIMP or something like that, and I would probably go ahead and be able to label it, and maybe that's something that would be interesting to do, but I don't think I would make a video for that. I'm not comfortable enough with the photo editing software to record myself doing it. That seems just scary. So a little bit of awkward areas to fill in. Like, I didn't want just huge open areas, but I also didn't want it to feel super claustrophobic here. So these are just some things that I'm thinking about as I'm continuing to fill up this area. Again, it's a little hard to discuss like thought process in this title, because a lot of it is just you click and you try and get it to do sort of what you want. I figured we needed some sort of castle or church building, and one of the nice things is this can be whatever it needs to be based on where it shows up if this was ever used in a campaign. Is this a castle? Sure, if it needs to be a castle. Is it a church? Yeah, sure, it's a church, whatever. I think I had church in my mind when I was building it, though. Nothing too huge. Tried to do some color variants just to make it stick out more. Did not like the red at all. Did not think that was successful. It doesn't stick around. And then I ran into the problem of trying to get rid of those clotheslines. The clotheslines are super cool, except when you're trying to make a church. That doesn't seem like something that would work. So I do have one more Townscaper video planned. I have one more idea that I'd like to try, and I've been testing it, and I don't want to say too much right now. I'm going to try to recreate, at the very least, the vibe of a certain city that I visited on my honeymoon in Spain. And that will be coming up hopefully in a couple days. And then I think I'm probably going to put this away for a while. Maybe some updates will happen. I don't know. But again, if you watched the first episode, thanks so much. I saw a huge bump in subscribers and views. It's incredible. Appreciate it. Check out some other things on the channel if this is the first video of mine you're watching. Maybe you'll like some stuff and can stick around. We are just about done here. I'm putting in a little port area, little harbor area. But this is where I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, be sure to hit the like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't. And with all that being said, have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever. And I'll see all of you for the next video. Talk to you later, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.